Hi guys, what is going on, and welcome back to another video on Conqueror's Blade. So I was actually going to just do this video as like a montage video, just looking at the flamethrower, just doing it as kind of like comical clips, because it is quite a funny weapon to look at when you start just setting hordes of people on fire. But in the end, I don't know, my natural ability to waffle and talk too much sort of won through, and so here we are. So yeah, the flamethrower. Really interesting weapon from Season 5. Pretty controversial at the time, but not one that actually is really used all that much at the moment, but one that can be really, really effective. I'm always kind of surprised, particularly with the very strong stalwart meta we have in the game at the moment, that we don't see more of these guys. Because you maybe see one a game, maybe. Sometimes you just don't see any at all. But they're really, really one of the funnest units to use to defeat stalwarts, because stalwarts can do what they like, but if they're on fire, they're not going to be able to do a lot against you. And particularly if you can play with a friendly shield or someone to protect you, then, you know, these medieval flamethrowers really are just going to ruin someone else's day. So they are a little bit of a high-risk, high-reward unit. You only get 7 dudes in a unit. They have 5,000 hit points, but pretty much negligible defensive stats, so yeah, they'll survive an hour or two, maybe, but that's really going to be a lot. So you've got to keep them safe. They move at a reasonable speed. They're not like Pavis, you know, toddling away. They do actually run, so you can sort of get yourself out of trouble, and you'll be able to keep up with allied units as they kind of advance or retreat, so that's not too bad. But yeah, its range is the real sort of killer of these. Enemy longbows as well, you know, enemy longbow heroes, that is, and unit. Absolutely decimate these guys. You know, 2 shots from a longbow hero will kill these guys. Remember, you've only got 7 of them, so it's only, 14 longbow hero shots, and that's it. Your unit is gone. So really, really easy to get wiped out. But the damage potential is huge. So they focus pretty much entirely on blunt damage. The slashing damage just represents their melee, but never get into melee with them. Something's gone horrifically wrong if you get to that situation. It's the blunt. They do 800 blunt damage, but it's fire damage. It pretty much sets everything it hits instantly on fire, whether it's fire resistant or not. So it basically passes through fire immunity. And it's not just a one-hit sort of thing. It's hard to describe. You'll probably see from some of the starting clips and the battle we go into in a minute. But it sort of hits and burns. It basically has 2 abilities with it. It has like a continuous burn, which is, rather than just normal attack, it's like a normal attack plus. They fire in the direction of your choosing for a pretty extended period, and it burns everything in its path. Remember, I'm also got mine with the glaive damage buff, so my damage isn't 800, but my damage is 1012. I actually get slightly higher base damage because when I'm using the buff, that is. So that's nice as well. But then this firestorm is probably the primary thing you're going to be using. I try and push the unit as close to the enemy as I dare, press 1, aim it straight at them, and they'll just sort of burn basically everything directly in front of them. They obviously have a really short range. 15 meters is all they will burn to. I mean, thank God, otherwise they'd be absolutely ridiculously overpowered if it was much further than that. But that's what you've got to be wary of. Then the other one is this Scorched Earth, which is where they basically set the ground on fire. So they do a less initial damage, and it has a much slower rollout. It doesn't basically instantly set the ground on fire, but it sort of progressively sets it on fire over sort of 3 or 4 seconds. But then anything that stands on that Scorched Earth takes damage. So if a unit passes across it, so you could put Scorched Earth across a gateway, across a narrow alleyway or something like that, and then anything that passes through that alleyway is going to be taking fire damage and is likely to be set on fire. So kind of got the 2 different things. For me, Firestorm is the primary ability, but this does have its moments, and it could certainly be kind of pretty nice to use. And frankly, their base attack is also pretty good as well, and it makes them quite an effective unit at killing enemy heroes, because of course they set the enemy heroes on fire, so they can't run away because they're on fire. So you can just run over and kill them. So it makes a kind of a nice unit hero killing combination. But anyway, I think that's probably enough waffle. The main thing for me is the fact that they are really anti-stalwart. They are perfect for burning stalwarts, and for me that's one of the funnest things to do in the game at the moment. So let's hop into a battle, see how we get on, see what we can burn, see how we do. So we kick off into Riverland's Castle Assault. Just a few minutes have passed, the first of the siege towers has landed, the battering ram has pretty much just got to the gate, and we've got a little bit of stuff coming off the tower. Okay, dramatic start, it looks cool, but realistically haven't really done a lot. burnt a couple of Martellatori, a few of them as they're running on there to the Scorched Earth, and you can see the continual burn effect you get with that Scorched Earth, but realistically, not killing a lot. But I saw there was pressure on the A point. They've gone through the main gate, and so that's where I was heading. You know, as much as it's nice to hold that top bit above the gateway, realistically, holding the A point is obviously far more important. So we can run down. I tend to play them pretty aggressively as a unit, these guys, because I like to get nice and close. Obviously, they have a pretty short range anyway, but I probably tend to play them closer than that even. I tend to get right up close, because then you can burn as much as you can. And look at the damage you can do here in this sort of situation. I haven't even got a unit in front of me defending at this point. The unit is pretty much fighting on their own. We get some serfs coming in now, going for the Scorched Earth, and look at the kills we built up. Just absolutely annihilated that unit of Pipe Militia, because fairly low tier unit, just get burnt completely and utterly. Remember, every unit is going to be taking the same damage here. Everyone takes that 800 base damage, whether it's Iron Reapers or it's a unit of Martellatori. It's the same base damage. Martellatori arguably will burn slightly easier, but both burn pretty well, and they're all going to be taking that base damage impact. So really that means that it doesn't really matter what you burn. You're as well targeting as much high tier stuff as you can, because you'll burn that just as easily as you'll burn low tier stuff, within reason. Obviously high tier stuff has a few more hit points, etc., but generally speaking, you get my point. So it was a good start. I was quite pleased with that. But there's quite a lot of pressure now coming up to the B point. So I'm trying to get down. A little bit nervous here, but pleased we've got these paladins pushing in. Try and push the unit up fairly close. A few of them catch on that bit of obstacle on the left. Get ourselves another hero kill. So that's 2 now. And we're starting to burn these Azaps. Unfortunately, one of the Azaps managed to sneak through and kill a unit, because as I say, these guys are really low health. And then we're just trying to apply pressure. Trying to finish that guy off. Got a few trebs coming in. I should have probably been safe where I was. I just pushed to the side to make sure I was. Unit's still firing a little bit. Still picking up some kills. Dealing with some much more high tier stuff now. That's the killing condos, killing those Azaps that we just wiped out. And look at the damage you do in this sort of situation. They just absolutely slaughters the enemy unit. Killed the enemy hero and just wiped out a full stack of condos. So that's 3 hero kills already this unit has got from people who have just been burnt to death by these guys. They're just so ruthlessly effective in this sort of situation. I really thought at this point the Treb must be on its way, because that's exactly what I would do if I was one of the attackers on that wall. So I decided it's time to pull back. I was also a bit worried of what was happening at the A point. But this is kind of one of the drawbacks of this unit, and kind of any range unit, although these guys are perhaps a little bit of a pseudo range unit. They are a range unit, but they're also kind of a melee unit. So I couldn't just run down those stairs, because I'd have had nothing in front of me to protect me. I have to have something realistically around me to just to absorb that initial hit while the guys get set up and fire their flamethrowers. So that's why I didn't go down the stairs straight to the A point. And obviously this is like a 350 leadership unit, so if you throw your unit away really easily without really getting much in the way of kills, then you are costing yourself and the team quite a lot in terms of point damage. So at this point, with the A point gone, I thought B was probably going to fall fairly soon. I was kind of deciding what to do here, whether to pull back and just go straight to the base point, or whether to try and push up and help B. Realistically, I almost didn't want to do this, and you'll see I kind of regret it. But you know, I kind of went up because there was nothing else really going on directly. Not quite sure how that bow escaped. Pretty sure he got hit both bow hero and flames, but hey ho. So as we push in, we're getting shot a little bit by some of the enemy range here, but we had the friendly unit, so I was hoping that would give me enough to be able to get in. I'm trying to get the unit close just to burn this unit of spears. I kind of realised my errors here. I'm trying to keep them safe and deal with this short sword hero. We managed to take him out, combination of flame and glaive ability, but we've lost another unit. We're down to 4 now, and some of them are really low. Is he going to get another one? Trying to stop him, but the unit gets caught up on him, and trying to send them back down, trying to get them to that supply point to see if I can get them to heal up, and we managed to get out with 4, so we only lost another 1, no, another 2, so we've got 4 left, 4 of 7, but because of the amount of damage each individual model does, the potential actually is still really high, and as you'll see, we can still do a lot with, you know, half a unit. But as you see, we haven't quite finished losing all of them yet, because I realise I'm getting shot at by an enemy bow player, which is kind of annoying. It shows how powerful the longbow can still be as a class. I'm trying to use my body to block the unit. I'm not annoyingly in range of the enemy, my friendly supply point, so I couldn't get it to send up. And he thankfully misses the next 2 shots. Whew. We get round, and we've still got 3 of the unit left. Yeah, very hard to escape in that sort of situation. It was really unfortunate. I wasn't quite close enough to be able to see the friendly supply point, so I couldn't control click it to try and get the unit out of the way. So I couldn't get them round the corner on that staircase. Yeah, very frustrating. But we've still got 3 of them. Okay, you know, things aren't as good as they were. You know, we've lost 4 of our unit, over half the unit now. But 3 flamethrower dudes, still something to fear. And kind of as you'll see, you can still do a tremendous amount of damage. So this is kind of a little bit now the calm before the storm as such. Because the enemy is just capping the supply point. And they're starting now to pressure cap, starting to come up some of the staircases. Initially, a lot of cavalry. Something that the flames can sort of deal with, but sort of not. If they catch them in the right sort of situation, then obviously the flame burn will stop pretty much a cavalry charge from most cavalry units. But equally, you have to time it very well, and obviously because they present a fairly small wall, particularly with only 3 of them left, it's quite easy for the cavalry to go sort of left or right of them and then flank back round behind them and kill them. And obviously it doesn't take much of a hit from a cavalry to kill them. So I'm calling the unit back to me, trying to decide where I want to go. There's a few stray arrows coming in there, which I didn't know if that was that longbow hero again, trying to get me. I don't think it was, I think it was just some stray arrows. So I'm thinking, okay, well, it looks like the bulk of the cavalry has now been dealt with. Or at least is not quite so present. Yes, this is the enemy longbow hero down here again, but I have got a friendly unit of stalwarts in which I can kind of hide in. So that was kind of my thought process. Let's try and get in here, try and protect ourselves, and just try and keep ourselves alive. Start to get some enemy archers firing in, which made me a bit nervous. Given the black arrows, I suspect they're Namkhans. But luckily, the enemy archer hero, I don't know if he hasn't noticed me, or both of them, there's 2 of them there now. Have either not noticed me, or I'm just too far around that corner for them to realistically hit. But we do start to get trebs, which is a bit concerning. And I'm just trying to keep the unit alive, just trying to keep them alive so that once it kicks off, I can get these guys into the fight. We then get falconetti coming in, and I think, oh god, this is not the place to be. Clearly the stalwarts thought the same thing and started to pull out. But I can see the enemies coming up behind. But the unit's fairly quick. We get them clear, get them set up, and then, yeah, lovely, we can brutally, fully burn this full stack of stalwarts. We've only got 3 people in a unit, but it just eviscerates that unit of enemy stalwarts so effectively. And yeah, that's what makes it such a good unit. Because the clustered unit of stalwarts like that, they all burn. They all take that 1000 damage per tick, as well as the burn damage. So it's just super, super effective. So with them dead, we're then just kind of pushing down. I pushed a little bit up here, thinking, oh, we can start to clear some of these guys. But as the falconetti balls sort of rain in, I let them do one quick burst off a flame, and then I'm pulling back in. But you know, by this point, we're now up to 100 kills with these flamer guys. And it's been some pretty decent kills as well. We've killed some pretty high tier stuff. So it shows that they can really be an effective unit. As long as you can keep some of them alive, it can really work quite well. Again, you know, the burn damage from them is just super effective. I think that was the 6th hero kill? But, not quite enough on the glaive damage. So then I'm just basically looking for my next opportunities. Which staircase are they pushing from? Which side? Just trying to keep myself out of enemy range fire. Because as we kind of said at the start, as soon as you get that enemy range, you know, they obviously die really, really fast. Come along here, nice unit of little Namkhans coming up the ladders. Well, I couldn't say no to that. Had to burn nicely down the stairs, and of course, Namkhans do not do so well against flames. And they're very beautiful, the flame damage, how it just envelops the whole top of the ladders. I do quite like it. So then I'm, just looking for my next opportunities. Kind of a little bit of a quiet patch again. Not really all that much going on. But we know there's going to be another push. The enemy still have a reasonable number of units still available. Just hiding myself behind the paladins, trying to keep me safe. Theoretically, I think you can sort of glitch them so they can fire through the balustrades, but I don't really want to be doing that, so I'm not purposefully trying to get them to fire through there, even though I think they've said it's technically not a bug. But yeah, I don't think that's really a very sportsman-like way of firing. We get these Azaps pushing at the back. They've cleared the stairs and pushed round. I kind of felt the team would deal with them fine anyway, particularly with this unit of stalwarts here pushing them, but you know, might as well have a go. So I decided to set the ground on fire, because they're in such a dispersed formation, it seemed like the most effective way of doing it. And yeah, burn a few of them, gain ourselves another sort of 10 kills, something like that. And they burn quite easily in this sort of situation. We are getting a bit low on ammo though, but I mean, kind of as you've seen, we've been running around with these guys for quite a long time since we last came back from the supply point. So, you know, ammo isn't a huge problem really with these guys. Again, we try and go in for the scorched earth, start to just to really burn everything that's clearing the top of these staircase. Another hero kill. And now we're starting to push the staircase, and this is where I perhaps get a little bit too cocky. I try and push them up and trying to push down, but because they stalwarts push just too close to the top, they manage to stab through and fully wipe the unit, which is kind of a shame. But it shows what the unit can do. Flames are a really effective unit, and they really are effective in the current meta of shield units. They really counter the stalwarts very nicely. And yeah, I think they work really well. They're one of the units that I'm just surprised we don't see more of them in the battlefield. Although, maybe now we will. So you can thank me all later. But anyway, that's all I've got time for today. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. If you have, do let me know what you think in the comments down below. Of course, subscribe to the channel for a lot more Conqueror's Blade content. I shall see you all on the next video.